Yo, what is up guys, Shinobi here back again on our video. Let me fix my mic real quick. And today we're going to be reacting to a video made by Nizen's Gotcha Stuff. I'm going to link his video down below. But today we're going to be looking at a video called Why Wuthering Waves is a Knockoff of Genshin is Such a Brain Dead Take. Now before we even get into this video, and I'm going to try and let him cook, because he might actually have some good points, he might not, who knows, in these days anything is possible. But me personally, after the whole Genshin was a Breath of the Wild clone take, just because they had both gliders and everything like that, it was already a dead take to begin with. Just in general, I feel like a lot of people these days just see a game, see that both games have similar mechanics, and just call it a clone off the rip. Not even before the game even released. Like, I dare to somebody call Genshin a Breath of the Wild clone now, because at this point, outside of the fact that they both use gliders, what is the same? And the fact that they're open world, which, let's be real, there's been open world games since the dawn of existence, so let's get it out. Let's just get that out of the way too. But me personally, the reason why Wuthering Waves just in general is getting so much hate is just because it's competition for Genshin, and as you already know, the Genshin stands on Twitter don't like that. You know, if you like anything having to do with Wuthering Waves in this day and age, it's you about to get ratioed or some shit. Which, once again, like I said in the video before, any publicity is good publicity, especially when it comes to Wuthering Waves right now, because there's not a lot of content creators on this right now outside maybe Tectone, but Tectone's just big in general. Let's be real, he's gonna get viewers regardless. But a lot of there's not a lot of big content creators. There's a lot of new ones. Even me, like, I'm not, like, I would say a Wuthering Waves content creator. I just like to play the game. I basically want to try it out. And I mean, other than that, I'm gonna stop yapping because it's already been 2 minutes. We haven't gotten into the video yet. So make sure to like, subscribe to both the channels. Make sure to leave the link down for his down below, and let's let my boy down here cook and see what we got, because automatically the title is already doing pretty good there.
Why are so many people talking about Wuthering Waves? It's just a knockoff Genshin Impact. Why is it stealing all of Genshin's concepts and ideas? The world looks the same, the characters look the same, the UI looks the same.
Let's be real, you can say that about a lot of games. Like, a lot of games cop over each other. I can name 3 games that have this same UI right now. And I can name them right now. Genshin, Honkai Star Rail has this freaking thing. Aether Gazer has this layout. Epic 7 has this layout. Fucking DK Goddess of Victory has this layout. Come on now.
Like, the games look so similar that it's borderline illegal. It's not even gonna be as good as Genshin because it's just a ripoff. We all know that Wuthering Waves is going to be nowhere near as popular as Genshin. The game is just going to fall off and die, just like Tower of Fame. Shut up!
That's me on Twitter, bro.
Not that serious. Shut up!
That is literally me.
Wuthering Waves is knockoff Genshin is such a brain dead take. Nitpickers try to bring down Wuthering Waves for no reason, and you act like Genshin Impact is so much better. But in reality, you're just defending a dead game. You haven't gotten a new Archon quest in months now.
Which I'm mad about, because my main reason for playing Genshin is for the story. I already have my favorite character, Kazuha. I got his sword recently. Very recently. I think it was on his last banner. It was the only reason I even played the game was because his sword came back, and I wanted to max out my Kazuha because he's my favorite character in that game. But outside of that, I'm there for the story, and we have not gotten a single Dainsliff quest, Archon quest since Fontaine, bro. Like, they're dragging the story way too much. It feels like the content is just stale. I haven't played Genshin in about probably 3 to 4 months. No, I wouldn't say 3 to 4 months. I haven't played Genshin in probably 2 months now, as of right now speaking. Because there's just nothing for me to do. No, I wouldn't say there's nothing for me to do. There's nothing worthwhile for me to do. Like the endgame content, aka Abyss, I could do that, but I don't know, I'm too lazy, and I have Honkai Star Rail and a bunch of other games to grind. And then as far as the story, once again, there's a bunch of side stories and stuff that I can do, but outside of that, I'm more interested in the Dainsliff story with Conria and all that. Like, and we ain't getting none of that. We haven't gotten any more lore about Conria since, once again, Fontaine. Or anything related to it anyway, like that. So, like, I mean, come on. And not to mention, Genshin as a company, or Hoyoverse as a company, as far as Genshin is with the Genshin devs, they're not even paying attention to their community because they already know that no matter what, people are just going to eat up whatever they give them. So why do they have reason to improve? Me personally, I like the fact that Wuthering Waves is a thing because now Genshin has competition. Now Genshin is looking at Wuthering Waves. It's like, hey, if we don't, make our game good, then Wuthering Waves might steal all our players outside of maybe the people who are just complete stands. But they might steal some of our players and become a competition for us. Because one thing that we've seen from Wuthering Waves is they listen to their player base. Like, when they had problems, when people had problems with Wuthering Waves back in the beta, their dev team basically looked at them and was like, okay, we see you guys' problems that you guys have with the game. We're going to change them. And they have been listening to their player base, kind of like how Honkai Star Rail, as far as the updates, has been listening to their player base, which is hilarious because Honkai Star Rail and Genshin are both from the same entire company, yet the two dev teams is like completely different. But we'll have to see with what they got going on in the future. But it's crazy, man.
It's been almost half a year, and don't even get me started on the end game because there is none. You've never gotten any. You've never gotten
the end
any.
game
So
is
don't
horrendous.
come at us with that
The
shit.
end game
Fucking
is
Menpeca.
horrendous.
Wuthering Waves, a knockoff Genshin, is a bad take. Here's why. As you all know,
It's a bad
Wuthering
take for a
Waves
lot
is
of
new and
reasons.
upcoming
It's a
open-world
bad take
anime
for
gacha
a
game,
lot of
just like
reasons.
Genshin Impact, which is why we're getting a lot of Genshin stands calling Wuthering Waves a Genshin clone, and they're using this as an excuse to talk shit about the game or just write it off entirely. In my opinion, it's very idiotic to say or do these things, and I have some very good points to prove why. And I'll
Alright,
start
let him
off with my
cook.
strongest point. Genshin did not invent open-world RPGs.
Thank you. Somebody should have told the Zelda players that too, because guess what? Pokemon has been an open world RPG well before Genshin, well before Zelda, before even this game came out. And it's like every single time there's an open world game that is got something having to do with exploring, it's like for some reason it's always a Genshin clone or a Breath of the Wild clone. It's like, bro, y'all were not the first ones to invent a glider in open world. There have been open world games well before this, bro. Come on now. Thank you. Somebody had to say it.
Are we going to call every new open world anime game a Genshin clone? Like, they
Thank
don't
you.
own the genre, and you're just gatekeeping by saying that Wuthering Waves is a Genshin ripoff.
And then also keep in mind that the only reason why Wuthering Waves is not going to do so well as far as its numbers is because there's no pandemic. Like, keep in mind, Genshin, once again, like I said in the last video, came out in a perfect storm. Pandemic, everybody's stuck inside, nothing to do, people were bored, Genshin comes out, boom, brand new game, brand new genre. No other game has done it before it. That literally perfect storm. Wuthering Waves will only not succeed like that as far as how popular Genshin was, just due to the fact that Genshin's already got a solid fan base on that part. And B, there's no pandemic. People aren't inside right now. You can see that with the gaming industry in general. Like, all the layoffs that all these gaming industries are having to do because they had so many people in their industry at that point in time when COVID was a thing. And now it's hitting them in their ass because of the fact that not everybody's inside anymore. So games aren't selling as much as they were back then. And people are having to, find new jobs and everything like that. Like, you can see it not only with just gacha games like this coming out, but you can see it just in the gaming industry. But I digress.
Like how else are open world anime games supposed to look? That's like saying Fortnite stole the battle royale idea from PUBG.
Yeah,
Open
people
world
been
games
saying that.
are
People
a
are
trope.
still saying that for
Anime
some reason.
games are a trope. You can't steal tropes. Also, why hate on a new game when it's similar to one of your favorite games? This was something that I could never wrap my head around, because you'd think players would be ecstatic to play a new game that's similar to one that they already like. Because,
Well, see, here's the thing. There are three types of Genshin players. People like me, who don't stand the game but enjoy the story for Genshin and are willing to play other games. Then there are the Genshin stands, who, if you basically say anything about their Yaimiko and fucking Raiden Shogun ship, they will tear you to shreds. And basically, you guys, basically the Twitter stands, right? So you got those people who are basically the people hating on this game. And then you got the normal Genshin players who are fans of the game but are also willing to try out something new, like the normal people, like the people you don't see on Twitter, essentially. Also, I'm on Twitter. Make sure to go ahead and follow me. Sometimes I post on there. I'm not on often. I just go and find memes, but still fun stuff.
It's most likely going to be a game that you're going to be into due to the similarities of the game you already like. Now, I say most likely because there is a chance that you might not like the game. For example, before launch, Tower of Fantasy was being hyped up a lot and was even being called the Genshin Killer. I think I even heard Tectone say that he had the most live viewers he's ever had in his live stream on the Tower of Fantasy launch day. But it turns out not many people like.
See, the thing with Tower Fantasy is it was open world, but it's an MMORPG. That's why it didn't do as well. And the game is buggy and there's a lot of hackers. That's the problem it had. Final Fantasy also has that problem. I forgot which one it was, but Final Fantasy also has that problem with the online, let alone the fact that you gotta try and figure out how to download the game. But it didn't fail, and I would even say if you're trying to compare it to Genshin, yeah, it probably failed in terms of popularity, but in terms of how well it did, it actually still does really well. Like, it's still alive. The game is still up and running. It's just not on the radar right now. Like, how I see success when it comes to games, especially gacha games, is did you make more money than you put into making the game? If you did, you won. You did it. If you make less money than you put it into the game, then that means you failed. That's how I see it with gacha games. And as long as games like Tower Fantasy or Honkai Star Rail make enough money to, sustain their game more than they're putting into it, then they're going to continue to be a success. And the one thing, once again, that I've been seeing with new games that have come out after Genshin is that there's always a lot of hate around them. Everybody talk about how the game's going to die after a couple of months, and then look at Honkai Star Rail right now. Boom. Not only was it a really popular game, it still is a popular game right now, and it's actually beating and rivaling Genshin right now. But on top of that, it won It won at the freaking Game Awards as far as the best gacha game or mobile game. And guess what's happening right now with Wuthering Waves? There's a lot of hate, a lot of drama. People are already doing crazy stuff on Twitter, and the game hasn't even come out yet. Now, what do you think is going to happen with all this drama and all this stuff going around Wuthering Waves? Once again, any publicity is good publicity. Like, the shit is in Times Square. They literally got the advertisement on lockdown. They're doing what they're supposed to do. At this point, it's just all up to, them, if the game succeeds past that point, because every game is going to do good on launch, but after launch is when you need to start, locking in. Like, those first couple of months is basically how you're going to make your game survive, but we'll have to see.
Like the game, and it kind of flopped. This might be why so many players are so pessimistic about Wuthering Waves. Even if you do think the game is going to flop, you should at least try it to see if you're gonna like it. And if you don't, all you have to do is simply stop playing. There's no harm in giving it a shot. Back when Destiny was my favorite game, the community would love it when new games similar to Destiny would come out. I'm sure they're all having a blast in Helldivers 2 right now. Also, some people are calling Project Mugen a knockoff Spider-Man. I don't know about you guys, but an anime Spider-Man game sounds insane, and I don't know if you've forgotten, but Genshin used to constantly be called the Breath of the Wild ripoff, which till this day I still don't understand why that was a criticism. Like, if you like Zelda so much,
like, the only reason they were calling Genshin a Breath of the Wild ripoff, which I also found was stupid, was because they both used a glider and they were both open world. That was it. Once again, this is the same thing happened in the Wuthering Waves. They've only seen a couple things about the game. The game hasn't even been released yet. All they know is that it looks similar to Genshin. It has a similar layout to Genshin. So they're calling it a Genshin clone. It's the same shit. And it uses a glider. Oh, big whoop. Gliders have existed long beforehand. Like, once again, stupid. It's a really dumb take.
Why not just play Genshin? A Zelda clone that gets new updates every month sounds pretty good to me. What I'm trying to say is, don't be so close-minded when it comes to trying out new games that you might potentially like. Wuthering Waves has a lot of similarities to Genshin, but it also has a lot of differences too. It's not just a straight-up clone. And I can see why everyone thinks this game is a Genshin clone, but that's just not the case. There are many things Wuthering Waves does differently from Genshin. The biggest one being its combat. Now, Wuthering Waves combat has way more depth than Genshin's, in my opinion. So I'll try to keep the explanation.
Like, bro, you can play Genshin, especially if you're like a whale, and just keep, like, you can, it's been proven, like, I forgot, there's a couple of YouTubers who have done it, but you can have it where you're blindfolded, depending on how broken your characters are, up to a certain point in the abyss, and still beat the game. Like, it's not hard. It's not hard. Now, this game, on the other hand, it looks like, based from the footage I've seen and the research I've done, that for the most part, this game is going to be a skill check. Like, you need to learn how to dodge. You need to learn how to probably block, parry, whatever they have in this game. Like, there is no Zhongli, or at least not yet, where you can just throw a shield up and not, just turn your brain off. This game looks like it's gonna take some skill, which I love, especially when it comes to games with dodging. Like, if you've seen me play Honkai Impact 3, I love it when they reward you for having skill and knowing when to dodge, when to move, watching your opponent's patterns, watching boss patterns, that kind of thing. Now, speaking of bosses, I've heard with Wuthering Waves that there is going to be a kind of ladder system with the bosses where as the bosses get stronger, they introduce new patterns, which I find is awesome. But yeah, definitely keeping it real with this game is going to be a skill check for a lot of people, especially people who've been playing Genshin for so long and don't know how to dodge.
As brief as possible. So you have your normal, heavy, skill, and ultimate attacks, just like Genshin, but on top of that, Wuthering Waves has perfect dodges, parries, echoes, forte circuit abilities, and intro and outro skills. And in my opinion, the biggest factor that differentiates the combat in Wuthering Waves from Genshin is the intro and outro skill feature. In Genshin, the gameplay is usually just use your skill and burst, swap, use your skill and burst, swap, use your skill and burst, swap, and then deal damage with your main DPS.
Yeah, that's pretty much it in a
With
nutshell.
intro and outro skills, each character has to stay on the field until they fill up the circle in order to get the QTE to switch characters and activate their respective intro and outro skills. So you're not just
Which is
spamming
basically
through characters
something
like
kind of
Genshin.
similar to
Intro skills
Honkai
usually
Impact
have the
3.
character do an attack, while outro skills will most likely give the team some kind of buff. I would love to talk about Wuthering Waves' other combat features and how it's so much better than Genshin's, but I've already proved my point. Another major difference is the echo system. Echoes are monsters that you can hunt and kill to use in battle, and they double as this game's artifact system too. It sounds like a really fun and cool idea. They even have shinies too. Also, Wuthering Waves has not just one, not two, but 3 different in-game content modes,
Which automatically makes it better than Genshin with that alone. Because the one thing that's killing Genshin as far as why people are leaving it right now or not playing it as often is there's no end game. There's nothing to challenge you. And you could say the Abyss is challenging, but once again, if you just wail enough, and even you don't even have to be a whale, it's been proven that if you just have a decent enough team, you don't even have to have them all maxed out. You can beat the Abyss. You can beat the Abyss with your eyes closed. It's been done. And after that, what's then? What then? And then another thing that people hate about the Abyss, even people who play Genshin a lot, is it's not even a skill check. It's more of a damage check. Because all the enemies are just sponges. While you think there are so many enemies, especially when it comes to the higher floors, that just like to waste your time. It's not a skill check, it is a damage check. Versus with this game, based on what I've seen so far, it is a big skill check. Like, once again, you're going to need to know how to dodge. You're going to need to know when to switch in your characters. You're going to need to know who you want to buff your team and all that good stuff. Like, once again, that's going to be one of the big things I enjoy about this. Like, it's going to be a skill check for sure.
And there's also other small differences too, like you can grapple to any point in the air, you can turn into a boss and drive his motorcycle around. It's basically a mount. And there's fun mini game modes you can play, like this 2D platformer or this pufferfish race. All the other differences are just things that Wuthering Waves does better than Genshin. The whooshing system is better, you can run up walls, the resin cap is 240,
Which
you can
is
pick
insane,
a 5-star
like,
of your choice at 8.
Once again, bro, the fact that they are giving us what Genshin has been slacking on, and the game ain't even out yet, is insane. Like, this game is going to be fucking crazy. Not to mention, it's probably going to be really possible to be just completely free to play on this game. Because this game is like, it feels like that it doesn't matter how much money you will spend on this game. If you don't have the skill, you're going to be ass, which I love so much.
80 petty on the standard banner. You can buy 5-star constellations with star glitter, and I haven't even played the game yet, so there's probably a ton of more differences that I don't even know about. You really can't call Wuthering Waves a knockoff Genshin because on paper it's just a better game. And I say on paper because I haven't played the game yet, but you can already tell that they're doing many things better than Genshin. And on top of that, it's made by a studio that actually listens to their player base.
My point is,
that's one
yeah,
of the most
Kuro out
important
here
things a
goated,
game could
bro.
have, and unfortunately it's something something that Genshin doesn't have. Bro, Genshin could have still been booming just like how Star Rail is right now if the devs actually listened to the community.
But once again, why would they listen to the community when the community is just, let's be frank, a bunch of people who, no matter what, basically eat the garbage that Genshin gives them? Like, are we just gonna forget that for the second anniversary, was it, no, not the second anniversary, the last anniversary we just got, and they basically said, yeah, so for your guys' anniversary, we're gonna give you 4 primo gems, bro. The game has been out for 4 years, and they said 4 primo gems. Come on now. And there was some outrage for it. There was some outrage, but once again, after the outrage was done, it didn't do nothing. You know, Arcano came out, and guess what? People spent so much money on it. Like, things are not going to change until the people who are playing the game decide to change it. That's just how it goes. This company is going to keep making money off of y'all until y'all stop spending so much money on the game and show that you want things to change. It's as simple as that. There's a reason Genshin has to change for so many years, and it's because of the fact that no matter what they do, they know they have a loyal audience that will eat whatever they give them, no matter what. So why bother change? You could probably even say that about Pokemon to a degree. Is that no matter how crap the game is on release, because let's be real, I'm not gonna lie to you, Sword and Shield, not Sword and Shield, my bad, Scarlet and Violet on release was pretty buggy, but even to this day, it's like one of the highest selling Pokemon games to this day, because they know they have a loyal audience that will buy whatever they'll put out. It's as simple as that, but I digress.
Waves also has a lot of similarities to Genshin Impact, and I think that's a good thing because it's going to make it way easier for Genshin players to get into. It can be very overwhelming sometimes trying to learn new features and mechanics when playing a new game, and I feel like being similar to Genshin takes a lot of that stress off new players if they've previously played Genshin. I think Wuthering Waves to Genshin is going to be like Apex to Fortnite. Before Apex, Fortnite was the biggest game at the time and dominated the Battle Royale genre, but then Apex Legends came out and became serious competition for Fortnite. A lot of people at the time were just saying that Apex was trying to copy the success of Fortnite by being a battle royale game, even though PUBG came out before Fortnite. Just like how open world games like Zelda were a thing before Genshin. As we all know, Apex Legends became a very successful game, and Fortnite felt so threatened by Apex that they straight up stole the revive card and ping feature from Apex and put it in their own game. We have Genshin leaks saying that we're going to get our first new endgame content since the start of the game in 4.7,
and which only got announced after they showed all the endgame content that Wuthering Waves showed. Like, once again, Wuthering Waves, whether it wants to or not, is putting pressure on Genshin to do some shit, because it's looking at, like, Genshin is looking at Wuthering Waves and it's like, if we don't do something, we're screwed, bro. Like, we haven't been doing nothing, and now we got competition. I'm telling you, man. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be so freaking good. I can't wait until Wuthering Waves comes out.
And oh, what a coincidence. 4.7 comes out a few weeks after Wuthering Waves. I don't think Wuthering Waves is going to overtake Genshin, but they definitely will be heavy competitors, just like Fortnite and Apex Legends. Some people are saying that Wuthering Waves will fail because it's not as popular as Genshin, but the reality is that it will never be as popular as Genshin. Genshin came out during the perfect time when everyone was stuck inside and had nothing to do. COVID helped Genshin explode into the mainstream, and unless we have another pandemic, Wuthering Waves is never going to reach those heights.
But that, and not only Wuthering Waves is not going to win, it's just going to be any game in general. Just COVID in general. The buff, the amount of people that were on YouTube, just YouTube alone. Like, if you want to be a YouTuber, like during COVID might have been your best time to do it, if you wanted a lot of growth, and especially if you were playing Genshin during that time. Like, heavy. Like, the amount of people who were just stuck inside and online was insane back then, bro. Like, we're never probably gonna see something like that happen ever again, unless there's another pandemic. And let's be real, I don't want another one. So many anime conventions got canceled that year because of that nonsense. But there's no, like, it's not gonna happen again. There will be games that come out that are similar to Genshin, maybe have a little bit around the same hype. But as far as how Genshin released, that's probably not gonna happen ever again unless we have another pandemic for a long time.
Doesn't matter because the only thing that's really important is if the game is fun.
Yep,
So far,
that's
if
pretty
you've
much it.
enjoyed this video, then you'll probably enjoy my future videos, which means you might as well subscribe.
Hey, you already know it, bro. I actually gonna subscribe to him because that's a pretty good video. Short and great to the point. But yeah, no, can't wait until Wuthering Waves comes out. I'm curious to see if he actually makes some cool content on this game because it looks like he will. And without further ado, Shinobi be signing off. I'll leave the link down to this video in the comments, and I want to know what you guys think. Peace.